Hello, this is my Chapter 5 reflective summary on the historical foundations of education. The chapter traces the history of education, identifies a series of events that have happened that are the catalysts for today's uh, educational systems here in USA. Uh, it just gives a timeline of the historical developments and how our education was patterned after the different processes. You know that the objective during the current, at a current time in our history. The book presents a question: why is educational history important? For teachers, it lists that are because it's best that teachers have a knowledge of the history and the timeline of education, the parts and how they were developed, and that's important for us to be professional teachers for future generations. The book also states that many practices in today's schools have origins in Western civilization. Uh, started gave examples. The book gave examples of people in the past in Western civilizations. It started with the Greeks. It gave figures, some figures. Uh, it lists the Roman systems. It lists the church had a major had a part in implementing the system of education at that time, and also the great thinkers in Europe during 18th and 19th century. The reason that they prepared schools for young people was to prepare them for adulthood. Is what was presented in the book. The chapter was just lists different times during history. It started with again back in Western civilization, back in European times before USA became a nation. Uh, then it also listed early times in America, in the country, the colonial time in America. Uh, During that time, the concept behind schooling was to give students, to teach children some type of a trade. Uh, uh, there was a hierarchy already established then. Uh, the children that were more privileged learned to read and write. Uh, Women were not allowed to read or write. during that time. The type of school information that was taught was Latin during that time. That's what the book explained. Then it went on to the 18th century here in our country. States that there was a move towards colonialism. There was communications between the old world and the new world. People were becoming, there was more populations happening at that time, the growth. Okay, and during that time, it also, I think it mentioned that schools became competitive with one another. Then it went on to the 19th century. Then it was the belief that the power of education would shape the country. Then it was thought that it would eventually that it would be best to establish a national type of school system where all children were to be educated. During that time, there was an attitude toward women becoming educated. In other countries, there were women, I think, were allowed to become educated. Pretty much the book, all it covered was just the historical significance of education in this country, how different political agendas, state agendas, national agendas shape this history, are the pattern of the education system. It also mentioned, the book also mentioned minority groups. Women were mentioned. They were finally later able to receive an education. Yeah, I mentioned Native American people. That process, the objective was to assimilate Native people during that time of history, U.S. history. And also, the religion had a big part in shaping the pattern of our educational systems. There was Catholic schools mentioned, federal schools, Puritans were mentioned. So that was pretty much what I got out of that chapter. The historical significance of education and how it shapes today's system, our approach to education. So that's all I have. Thank you.